Hello and welcome to a Stardew Valley tutorial on fishing. Of all the aspects of the game, I would hands down say that fishing is the one that drives the most people crazy. So there are probably a lot of you out there who are fairly new to the game, or perhaps even not, who are still looking for help on how to fish in Stardew Valley. This short tutorial will hopefully give you some tips and tricks and some advice on how to fish successfully in Stardew Valley. So let's jump right in. First of all, how do you actually get the fishing rod to start with? On the second day of your new farm, you're going to get a letter from Willie that says he's back from his fishing trip. You head on down to the beach. It'll cue a cutscene where Willie is going to give you a fishing rod at no cost. Now, to fish, the mechanics of it are fairly straightforward in terms of what buttons to hit. You press and hold the button to cast or to use a tool. That's going to kick off the cast meter, and you want to cast as far out on the meter as you can, with the idea being you want that bobber to land as far away from land as possible. That's important because the farther away that you cast from any shoreline, the higher quality the fish can possibly be. So for example, if you cast far out in the water but it lands close to another shoreline, it kind of defeats the purpose. You want it to land as far away from any shoreline as possible. So keep that in mind when you're trying to decide where to actually fish. Now, when you actually hook something, it's going to show you a meter on the screen, and there's going to be a fish icon and a small rectangular bar in a longer rectangular bar. The objective is to keep that small rectangular bar in line with the fish icon as it jumps around on the meter. Some fish are going to be relatively easy in terms of how much they jump around or the pattern in which they jump around. Some are going to be extremely difficult. Early in the game, there are going to be fish that you just flat out cannot catch. You don't have the skill set yet, you don't have enough practice, and you just don't have the right tools in terms of the bait and tackle that you've got on your rod. So hang in there and it will get easier. Now, in terms of moving the actual meter to stay in line with the fish, the general advice that I will give you is if you want the bar to hover, you will want to do short, fast clicks. So tap, 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 tap. That should get that bar to kind of hover somewhere in the middle of the bar. Now, if you want it to drop, obviously just don't press. If you want it to raise quickly, hold it down. But the quick taps is the key to kind of getting that meter to stay, or that bar to stay level or hover within the meter. So keep that in mind. One other thing to keep in mind in terms of a strategy to help level up your skill is if you're really having trouble doing it through fishing itself, try using crab pots. Every time you grab something out of a crab pot, it levels up your fishing skill. And if you can get that fishing skill leveled up to where that meter, that bar on the meter gets larger, it makes it easier to catch any fish in the game. Now keep in mind that there are additional rods that you can actually purchase from Willie that can make the game a whole lot easier. You can upgrade your rod to a fiberglass rod or iridium rod. We'll talk about what that means in a minute. You can also actually downgrade your rod technically to a training rod. Now, the training rod is going to only net you low quality fish. However, it's going to make it easier for you to catch some fish and give you some confidence, but more importantly, it's going to help you level up your fishing skill. What that does is two things. One, it gets you closer to where you get perks, so when you reach level 5 and level 10 respectively, you can select those professions that are going to enhance the value of your fish, make it easier to catch, and so forth. The other thing that it's going to do is make the meter on your bar larger so that you have a bigger window to try and keep that fish in, and makes it easier to catch rather than it slipping away. Now let's talk about those upgrades to your fishing rod. When you start out, your normal rod is just straightforward bamboo rod. You cast it into the water. It's going to take a while, but eventually a fish is going to bite and you try and reel that baby in. When you upgrade to your fiberglass rod, it gives you the ability to put bait on your rod, and the bait is going to make it 4 times faster for a fish to actually bite. So you're going to be way more efficient in terms of catching a bunch of fish in a hurry. So that can certainly add some value, especially if you're using fishing as a source of income. The iridium rod gives you the added benefit of also being able to use tackle. So in addition to the bait that's going to make it easier for you to catch fish quickly, tackle is going to make it easier for you to reel in some of those fish. My personal preference is the trap bobber because it keeps the fish from getting away faster whenever it is outside of your meter on the fishing bar. Some people prefer different kinds of tackle, so take a look at the wiki and figure out which one you think is going to work best for you. But in terms of catching the most difficult fish in the game, I find that the trap bobber is hands down the best for that experience. There are a lot of different fish types in the game, and the key to remember is that different fish are available at different times, different seasons, and different locations, and even in different weather conditions. So there are three main sections of the map where you're going to do most of your fishing, those being the river, the ocean, and the mountain lake. The majority of the different fish in the game can be caught in any of those three locations, but again, the season can play a factor in what fish are available to be caught, as well as the time of day and the actual weather that day. So keep those all in mind depending on if you're trying to catch a specific fish, like a catfish for Willie, a sturgeon for the community center, etc. One thing to keep in mind early in the game is that fishing can be a great source of income. So days 2 through 4 where you can't get to the mines yet, but you can get to Willie and get that rod and then go fishing, there's not a whole lot that you're going to have to do on the farm. So what I like to do is water whatever crops that I have planted and then head to the fishing location of choice and catch as many fish as I possibly can. You're going to run out of energy fairly quickly, but the good part about fishing is that if you catch a fish, you can eat it for more energy. Watch how much those fish actually provide in terms of an energy source compared to how much they actually sell for. For example, the chub is a great option for early game fishing to use as a source of energy instead of selling. Another good strategy if you're going to go fishing early on in the game, you probably don't have the expanded backpack for your extra inventory. So take a chest with you, find a location that's kind of out of the way so that NPCs won't walk through that location and destroy your chest, but you can pop a chest down. An island is a perfect example of somewhere that's usually out of the way. Put your chest down, stuff anything in there that you can as you fish, and then clear out your inventory as you go to make room for more fish and treasure that you might collect throughout the day. Those treasure chests can net you some freaking awesome stuff. So do try and focus on the opportunity to capture a chest where applicable, but not at the expense of letting that fish get away, because then it does you no good whatsoever. Now to capture those treasure chests, basically you've got to get the fish reeled in close enough to where you have time to then let your bar hover over that chest until you secure it, then finish catching the fish, and you get both in that circumstance. Early in the game, you can get awesome stuff like an Omni Geode that can net you something like a fire quartz that you would need for the community center, but you don't have access to yet otherwise. You can get weaponry, you can get a prismatic shard, you can get certain things that add serious value early in the game, and it's the only way that you can get them that early. One key to remember about fishing is that early on it is going to be difficult. Hang in there. When you level up your fishing skill, that bar gets wider and makes it easier to catch fish. Combine that with the extra upgrades to equipment that you can make, and you can start fishing successfully, bringing in a source of income and ending that frustration. I hope this video will help you with your fishing expeditions. Please be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment below if you have any additional feedback or questions, and I will try and get back to you as quickly as possible. Thanks for watching.